Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we got our first sneak peek for the upcoming update in Marvel Future Fight. And thankfully, and to a lot of people's kind of happy surprise, it is going to probably be an X-Men themed update, and we love our mutants. Now, as you can see from the teaser, we've got a dartboard, but we've got something other than a dart there on the board. It's a card, a playing card. It's been energized or powered with some sort of energy that's going to or set to explode. Of course, it's Gambit. So we can confirm, at least for now, one new character in the upcoming update. Now, when exactly the update is coming, I don't know. I would probably guess the second, third, or fourth week of October. That puts the update anywhere from the 16th to the 30th of October. It's really hard to say because we haven't had a mid-month kind of patch in a while, and we just had one for Loki and Hawkeye's uniforms or Barbie upgrades, downgrades, and we have been waiting almost a month now since the Infinity Warps update that landed in kind of the beginning / middle of September. So it depends what you go by in terms of which update is going to count as the next month's rollover period. Anywho, we know that we're getting Gambit, but we actually had an idea, or we had an inclination of Gambit a little while back. About 12 or 13 hours ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, a Reddit post went up about a notice that Chinese players got for the Chinese server. For those of you that don't know, Marvel Future Fight has two servers, the one that we all play on, most of us anyways, and then one for the Chinese players. And the reason that has to do with Chinese laws in terms of what you can show. So we've talked about it before on this channel where some characters have their models changed or blacked out in terms of images that show flaming skulls and other kinds of grotesque things. So Carnage, Dormammu, Ghost Rider, things like that have different looks to them. Let's just put it that way. There may be some other differences to the server. I've never personally played on it, so I can't speak to that. It doesn't really matter. It's just aesthetic as far as I know. However, it was posted that the Chinese server got this QR code that was letting people know that an update was coming in which both Gambit and Sentry would be added to the game, or the Sentry. So a lot of people on Reddit were super excited about that, but it was purely speculation until now. Now I think with the confirmation that we're getting Gambit, and of course the fact that the Gambit confirmation comes in the same day that we get this Chinese server leak, is probably not a coincidence. Perhaps Netmarble just wanted to quell the speculation, and they just wanted to get that first sneak peek out there so that we know that Gambit is coming in. Perhaps Sentry will be the next one so that we have those confirmed ones out of the way. I'm not sure. However, we can kind of speculate now a little bit about what we can expect for the update, depending on where they're going to take it, both with and without Gambit. Now, one of the best kind of ideas that people had about which update could feature both Gambit and Sentry, although it doesn't make a lot of sense, it does make some sense, and it would be to introduce the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, because both Gambit and Sentry have served as Horsemen, and I've talked about the Horsemen of the Apocalypse as a potential update many times because it is pretty central to a lot of the conflicts that the X-Men have, and so there's just a lot of really fresh and rich content that can be pulled out of there, both for new characters, uniforms, and even storylines and kind of game mode revolving events. Another thing that a lot of people are really kind of pressing for and think that it could happen is that any sort of Apocalypse-related update will result in a uniform for Apocalypse. Now, this uniform isn't actually his kind of base look or his iconic look from the comics. This one's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a riff on what we're used to. If you guys want to read up on some of these storylines in ahead of a potential update, I'll give you some reading lists where you can start. But this is kind of the more, even this one doesn't look really perfectly captures the original Apocalypse, but this is more similar with the A on the belt buckle and the no cape and the cords kind of on the back of the head and stuff like that, the one that you're used to seeing from the animated show. So I've compiled two different Horseman anthologies or kind of series that could feature both Gambit and Sentry. They've never been Horsemen at the same time because they were both the Horsemen of Death. So there is a bit of conflicting information or conflicting kind of logic in that, but it doesn't really matter. In the case of Gambit, his most prominent feature, or his only prominent feature as a Horseman of the Apocalypse, was in Blood of Apocalypse. And if you want to read this up, I recommend that you start from XMen 2004, Volume 2, Issue 182. And you're going to have to Google that, and you'll be able to find it. I found it on Marvel Unlimited if you guys are subscribe to that, but you can also find it online for free, and you can read through that. I read through it, and it's quite an interesting storyline. Now, the only problem with Gambit as a Horseman of the Apocalypse is he's super hideous. He's ugly as shit. So hopefully they don't make him a Horseman by default or by uniform. Rather, they make it by default, and then they give us a new kind of classic Gambit look as part of just a uniform upgrade, or just to keep the character that way. Or they can just call it a Horseman but not have him look like a Horseman. I think it's really fine. It doesn't really matter. They can call it a Horseman update, or they can loosely base it on the Horseman update without actually making him look like the dog shit character that wears all black and looks like a weird biker guy going to see Blade 2 for the second time tonight at midnight release. So that is kind of my impression and reaction to Gambit and his Horseman outfit. I would much prefer kind of the classic look for Gambit that we all know and love, with the jacket, with the bow staff, and etc., the fingerless gloves. But in addition to Gambit as one of the Horsemen, we do have 3 other Horsemen. Now we've got Polaris, we've got Gazer, we've got Sunfire. Now, we've touched on Sunfire before. Polaris is actually in the Gifted show, which is in its 2nd season right now, so there is a nice little tie-in there. However, it's a TV show that's not kind of run by Marvel, it's run by Fox, so there's very little chance that there would be any sort of tie-in based on that character, so I don't think it would look anything like the actress. It would look like the comic book version, although they kind of look alike. Gazer is probably the least likely character to come out of that update. If it was going to center around some of those characters, it's possible that Netmarble will just mix and match the most popular Horsemen, in which case they could take, Gambit and Sunfire, which are definitely the 2 biggest ones, and then just scrap the other ones. But that is kind of the one that has the classic look Apocalypse that we could look forward to. Personally, I really do, and I am pushing for an Apocalypse uniform. Apocalypse is kind of in a weird place where he's not terrible like Odin and Dormammu, but he's not super dominant like Cable and Quicksilver. He's really only used by the majority of players for 1 day of Extreme Alliance battle. And so it's really frustrating to have this super built character. In my case, I mean, I'm pushing rank 5,000 now, but still, 5-star Uru, fully awakened ISO 8 set, CTP of energy, and I use him once every 2 weeks, which is really painful. Now, he can definitely do other content. I'm not saying he's a bad character. There's just not a lot of content that he really dominates unequivocally, whereas other characters like Cable definitely do. And so it would be nice to see him kind of retake his throne. It would be nice to see another villain besides Thanos be super dominant, maybe like Strife, or maybe even a little bit better than Strife. And so I welcome that. Plus, I hate Apocalypse's skill rotation for Extreme Alliance battle. It's complete garbage. So I hope that they make it a bit more user-friendly and a bit less lag-friendly when they finally do update, if they update it. The second one I want to talk to you guys about is called the Marvel Now Horseman. This one is a little bit more far-fetched because it involves a lot of other characters that we've really never seen in the game and we may never see in the game. But this one, if you want to start reading it, I recommend that you start from Uncanny Avengers 2012 edition, issue 8. You can start as far back or as early as issue 6, but it really starts to get interesting and action-packed, and it involves the other X-Men at issue number 8. But you just have to kind of look for it carefully, because I found a bunch of other issues of Uncanny Avengers from different years, and it has nothing to do with the Horsemen or Apocalypse. In this version, which includes Sentry, there is no Apocalypse. He's dead, but we have the Apocalypse twins, which are different characters. I'm not going to get into the details of who they are, but they kind of look like weird techno samurais, and they're being kind of manipulated by Kang, so we would have to introduce Kang in some way, at least in terms of the storyline. And then they use Death Seeds and Life Seeds to resurrect 4 characters. They resurrect Grim Reaper, Dakin, Sentry, and Banshee, and they become the 4 Horsemen. So that's where Sentry would come in as a Horseman. That's where we could see some of the kind of connection between Gambit and Sentry. There isn't a lot of connection between the 2 characters in the comics. Otherwise, they haven't really had a lot of adventures together, although Sentry's had adventures with the Avengers and the X-Men and stuff like that. So there is a kind of a loose general theme going on, because Sentry's just a really cool guy with amazing powers. But this is kind of the one that connects best to things that we have existing in the game, especially because we have Apocalypse, and he's a big villain, and Netmarble really hasn't taken advantage of him since they introduced him last year. And remember, they introduced Apocalypse with San Diego Comic-Con, so he's supposed to be a huge character, and he's kind of just been languishing in the background for the last maybe 6 months. So I think it would be nice to finally, give him some shine and have him flex on all the other characters and kind of be that super trump card villain for a lot of the X-Men, because right now it's kind of the X-Men fighting each other and not fighting him. Finally, we do have a couple of other fringe characters that could make it in. Whenever you talk about the Horsemen, there are definitely a bunch of other X-Men that always pop up, whether it's good guys or bad guys. Just a really quick list of honorable mentions on characters I would love to see. Of course, Iceman immediately comes to mind. Havoc is a big one, both for the Marvel Now version, because that's who I think Banshee goes after, and then also because he's related, of course, to Cyclops. Then also Rogue uniform. There's a bunch of different Rogue uniforms, of course, that exist in the Marvel universe. She's had lots of different looks, but she's got a lot of really cute ones from some of the Horsemen series. So I would love to see them pick up on one of those and run with it, especially if it has a little hood, because she looks like Red Riding Hood, and that's just super dope. Also, Mystique is another possibility, and yeah, the Apocalypse twins are technically a possibility, in addition to, finally, Wonder Man, who is Grim Reaper's brother. So that is the speculation. That is how I would connect, if I were to connect the Chinese server teaser leak thing with Gambit and Sentry to now the confirmed teaser / sneak peek of Gambit coming in the next update. So I'm super excited about that. Let me know what you guys think of Gambit. Let me know what you think his typing is going to be, because I'm betting heavily on Blast. He seems to have a lot in common with someone like Weapon Hex, physical yet energy related. But it is possible you could make the argument for possibly combat with someone like Shang-Chi coming to mind. Really don't see speed being an option, and of course we know mutants can't be universal, so there's that. But hit me up in the comments down below. I'll be reading and replying to everybody. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.